Hey, how are you all? I am finally back trying to do something with this book reading idea that I have. As you can tell, I am hoping to get into Akiane's book. If you have never heard of her, she is an artist, but she began painting, drawing, things like that when she was as young as 3 years old. And her story is quite an interesting one. She still paints to this day. I appreciate and love all of her artwork and the message behind it. But what's so exciting and special and important about her and about her art is how it came to be that she painted. And in this book right here is her story, and I'm really hoping to get into it and read it and post it on YouTube so you guys can hear her story. I remember the very first time I saw anything having to do with her, and it was this painting here. It is a painting of herself, and it's titled Co-Creator with God. And I remember seeing this painting right here on a magazine on one of my friend's coffee tables, and I thought, wow, that is so beautiful and fascinating. So I remember seeing that painting on my friend's coffee table. It was on the front of, like, I don't know if it was a Time magazine or Oprah, I don't remember, but I just remember seeing it and thinking, wow, that's interesting. I think it was titled like Child Prodigy or something like that. I know that she was interviewed on Oprah's show. So anyways, some years later, a friend of ours had this book, which is her story, and I believe her mom helped write it. In fact, it may be written from her mom. Anyways, I'm so excited. She was raised in an atheistic home, or agnostic, whatever. They basically were not religious. They were not rich. They were quite poor. They didn't even have television. So when their daughter started talking about this at 3 years old, they were really surprised and shocked. Like, how did she hear about God and heaven and all this stuff and angels? And they really began to have to trust what she was saying, that she was having these visions or experiences or encounters, especially when her paintings just really took off. Okay, so the next painting I saw was this one. And obviously, as a Christian, raised Christian my whole life, this was just a beautiful, fascinating photo. It doesn't look anything like all the traditional Jesus pictures you see, where he's quite white and long hair. Anyways, so I just love this painting. She painted it when she was, I think, 8 years old, and it's massive. Look how big that painting is. That's her standing next to it. It's titled The Prince of Peace, and we will read the story of how she painted this and the various details that took place and how many hours it took place. And as a young child like that, she felt so driven passionately to get this painting done. So I'm super excited to read this story. Hopefully you guys will come along with me and hear her story and hear the things that this little girl has to say. I feel like it is pertinent to our world today. This one is fabulous. And if you go to her YouTube channel, which I will link that in the description below, you will see how she went through the process of painting this individual. All of her paintings are more than just the final product of what she painted. it's the process. It's they undergo different like revampings. Like this guy had like something like 16 or 17 different expressions and faces before she was able to feel good about what she finished and completed. And here's one of her painting Mary with baby Jesus. So beautiful. This one is fascinating. This is supposed to be Eve, which if you know the story of Adam and Eve, it's this idea that there's presented to them the knowledge of good and evil, which is what that tree was, that they were told, don't eat of that, you'll die, you know. But then they were tempted, and oh, you won't die, you'll be like God, knowing all things. So this picture depicts how she thought that she could only learn good and could avoid the knowledge of evil. However, that's the deception in that right there, in that pursuit of knowledge, is you can't have one without the other. So she bit into the green grape representing good, and in it is the drips of blood of evil. Just showing that you can't have one without the other, and her eyes are looking up to God for help. And I just love, because once again, growing up as being raised a Christian, all we had was a lot of, white-skinned Adam and Eve's naked in the garden. But that depicts her as all the races are blended into her, because she's, quote, the mother of humanity. And that's another reason I just love Akiane so much, because there's no division. She excludes nobody, and I believe that is a accurate representation of God. Let's find some more. So this one here is supposed to be Jesus in his, we'll say like teenage years, which we don't know a lot about. There's not a lot of focus on that in the ancient writings, things like that, but this is supposed to be him. Obviously you've got earth behind him, and he is talking to God, his Father, about the new heavens, the new earth, which is, so if you follow his foot that's in the front and you follow it all the way to the right, I believe, there's a green, looks like planet covered up by some dark matter, and that is the new heaven, the new earth, which of course is a mystery to us humans. But she talks a little bit about that in her book when she was young. Let's see if there's any other ones I kind of want to just show you as a small introduction into what she's done. I just really feel like one of the most powerful things that separates her from just being a good gifted painter is that I feel like she's very linked to the spiritual. Here's another beautiful painting she did, but she's very linked to the spiritual. She allows what I would call the spirit to lead her on what to paint, when to paint it, how to paint it. So there's more to the paintings than just themselves. So I feel like I've said that a couple times. Here's one of her more recent paintings of herself. She painted this during 2020, and if you go to her YouTube and watch, she tells a story of how this painting came to be, and just the trouble, the difficulty, the trials that she went through while trying to find the inspiration and the motivation to accomplish this, and just how it matched, in a sense, the collective difficulty that humanity was undergoing. Just beautiful. So we will be getting into that. Thank you so much for watching, and come along with me. I hope you enjoy her story and my reading of it. So have an awesome day, and we'll see you soon.